Chris here with part 2 in our look at Yami the Flaming Harbinger from Skytear box game. In this video, we're going to continue our work on the model. We're basically going to finish it off, and so that means we're going to work on her scythe, we're going to work on her flesh, her hair, and the base. Pretty simple. Abaddon Black is going to get things started, and really quickly here, we're going to use some Lamy and medium, not quite a 1-to-1, just really kind of just thinning it out just so that it flows really nicely into the hair and other areas of the model. And basically we're going to use this black on her hair and her scythe, and I do believe we use it on the chains as well. Oh, and the base as well. So we're going to use it on all those areas, as you can see there. Already it's starting to look very interesting at this point. Next, we're going to come in with some Wreath Bone. This is a Citadel base color, and basically we're going to use this to lay out on the flesh areas of the model, because we are going to come back in using some contrast paints later on, and so this is a really fun way of getting those areas ready. Gilman Flesh is next, the Citadel Contrast color with some contrast medium. We're going to thin it down, roughly a 1-to-1 mix ratio. Basically what we want to do is not apply this too heavily, so I am just putting a fairly generous amount on my brush, moving it around the surface, allowing some to build up in the cheek areas and the eye sockets, around the point where the arm connects up to the dress and the wrist, and in between the fingers. Once that is dry, we're going to come back in with Gilman Flesh straight out of the bottle and just reinforce some of those shadowy points. Again, the hairline, the eye sockets, the jaw, the cheeks, the elbows, in between the fingers, basically anywhere we want to just increase a bit of the separation and just get a little bit more color depth onto the model. And you can do this a few times if you want. Pallid Witch Flesh is next. We're going to use some medium, thin it down, and we are just going to apply a few highlights here. Now, the one thing I would recommend is actually I would probably, in hindsight, would have used Kislev Flesh and then Pallid Witch Flesh. I probably would rather do that. So if you are going to follow this kind of direction for using skin, now this model has really good detail, but it is a fairly small model. This model is not quite the same size as, say, a 28mm, although she is pretty big, but it's not quite the same. Here you can see I'm just reinforcing in the eye sockets, again creating that illusion of, you know, a bit of eyeshadow. All I'm using is darker flesh tone, and I'm just reinforcing the shadows, as it were. And I probably would also thin the color down into a glaze and just push some of that Pallid Witch Flesh back a bit more and allow just a little bit more tones to show. Abaddon Black and Incubi Darkness. Then we're going to mix this in a roughly 2-to-1 mix ratio. It's 2 dollops of black, 1 dollop of Incubi, and we are going to begin laying in black highlights. And this is going to go for the hair and the handle of her scythe. You can see here I'm just simply applying it right around the part of her hair, kind of on the top of her head, and as well as the ends of her hair. On the staff, I'm pretty much laying it on the uppermost portion of the staff, pretty much of its entirety. And on the stones, I'm pretty much just laying this out on top of the stones. And I realized as I was working that area, I forgot to paint the foot. Some of you clever people out there might have already noticed and said, hey Chris, you didn't even paint the foot there. Well, I come back later on and paint the foot. We're going to come back with some Incubi Darkness, throw that into the rest of that mixture, roughly a 1-to-1 mix ratio, and lay down another set of highlights. Again, when you're laying down this second set of highlights, do not work the paint as far as you did previously. And on the staff, I actually start to do it in a bit of a dash type of formation, but I do go most of the length of the details where we previously laid the previous mixture. But I'm doing little dashes on there just to give the impression of a texture there, just because it's so smooth. And, you know, I was thinking of, you know, just doing something different for that. Here, I was just going for the edges of those cobblestones or whatever it is on her base. Next, we're going to come in with some pure Incubi Darkness. We're just going to use this straight out of the pot, use it on our palette. And again, you can see I'm just going to lay down quick little dashes, and I'm just building up the color using the ends of the staff, allowing it to get kind of darker towards the center. And I'm also kind of deliberately doing it into her hair as well. I'm just using downward strokes, kind of just following the lengths of hair, as it were, just on the top of her head and on the ends of her hair. On the stones on the base, I'm kind of just going for corners and just trying to be very deliberate in laying it on just edges and such. Dark Reaper is next. This is going to be applied to just the handle and the base. I think I do come in a little bit on her hair as well, just really what kind of goes around by her face, like her bangs and the part that runs down the side of her head as well. But otherwise, this highlight on the staff, I just do little dashes, and these are just quick little highlights I'm laying on the stones of the base, and it is really, really fast. It is nothing, you know, like we're not doing any kind of crazy blends or anything like that, as really the eye is captured by the overall feeling of the model. Yeah, you can see here we're just laying just quick little highlights here and there, just picking out just ends and just, you know, basically grabbing all that texture. Once it's all said and done, I also come in and do her eyes and her lip, and again that was just quickly Voluptuous pink, the contrast, and some black in her eye with a little bit of white, and that was really it. And then of course I also came in with a metallic for the chains, but I didn't figure you need to show the chains because we've pretty much shown that a million times. But that was it. Thank you for watching. Big thank you to all my patrons for their support. If you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below. There are varying tiers to support at. Huge thank you to everybody for supporting this channel. Take care of those brushes, and they will take care of you.